Hi, in this video I'll be showing you how to build this nether portal inside of a giant mushroom. I've included a list of how many and which blocks I used in the description, but feel free to customize this to suit the look that you want. This tutorial is another one which is more of a guideline than telling you exactly what to do, so it's very customizable. If you do build this, feel free to tag me on TikTok or Twitter, I'd love to see. I started off by building the portal so that I could work around it. I started off with the portal 7 wide and 10 high as a guideline, but I did end up adjusting this later as I built the mushroom. I then placed out the first layer of blocks for the base of the mushroom, using smooth quartz. You can copy the exact shape I used or play around with the dimensions if you'd like. I then added another layer of blocks on top of the first, leaving the front 4 blocks open. This is when I decided to adjust the size of the portal based on the size of the mushroom I'd be building. I extended it by 1 block to each side. I added another layer of blocks exactly on top of the last, except for the front, which I started to shape for the opening for the portal. For the next layer, I built inwards by 1 block, like you can see here. I then added a few blocks to some of the edges on each side to make the shape a little smoother. The next layer just went exactly on top of the last. This layer is built inwards by 1 block again. Here I start adjusting the shape a little to make it look more organic. I do this by placing a few blocks kind of randomly around the outside of the last layer to make the shape less uniform. You can copy what I've done or place some blocks wherever you'd like. I then carried on building up by a layer, but then adjusted the shape again, this time building inwards in a few places. I started building around the portal here to see how I'd have to carry on shaping the mushroom to cover the obsidian. I built 3 blocks up and then added a few outside of them. I carried on doing this around the edge of the shape. Then I just added some extra blocks here and there, so that the mushroom would look more natural. For the next layer, I built upwards and inwards by a block again. then focused on the shape that would make the opening that the portal was visible from. You can change the shape of this, but be careful that the obsidian isn't visible. To do this, it's good to have at least one block placed further inwards than the edge of the portal, around all sides. So if your portal is 10 by 10, the opening would be 8 by 8 at biggest. You also want this to be placed directly in front of the portal, like this. I then continued building upwards and inwards, this time 2 blocks up at a time, while continuing to adjust the shape as I went. Once I got near the top of the shape, I decided to make this section a little thicker before continuing to build up. At the top of the shape, I built up by more blocks for each layer. I then returned to the portal opening, making the shape a little more natural and adjusting the space between the blocks covering the portal and the front of the opening. I decided that I wanted to add another smaller portal, so I broke some blocks above the main portal to create another opening. I then built this second, smaller portal slightly behind the first one to make sure that it fit. I repeated the process I used for the first portal to cover the obsidian. And this is what it looks like so far. The next step is to light the portals. After seeing what the portals looked like lit up, I did some more adjusting of the shape, adding more blocks to the front for dimension. I then went around the base of the mushroom, adding some blocks to the bottom layer around the outside. Now I'm going around the whole shape and replacing some of the smooth quartz with mushroom blocks randomly for texture. If you're building this in survival, it will probably be easier to do this while you're first building the shape instead of now to save resources. I realised that some of the obsidian from the bottom portal was showing in the opening for the top portal, so I covered this with some white carpet. The next step is the top of the mushroom. Before starting this, I extended the top of the stem that I'd built, adding texture as I went. I then started to work on the top of the mushroom. I built a 4x4 square of warped Wart blocks on top of the base, then extended the middle 2 blocks of each side by 1. This is all 2 blocks high. On the lower layer of this, I added a block to each corner, like this. I then extended this by 1 block around the whole edge, 1 block lower. I repeated this again, then adjusted the shape a little, as you can see here. I again extended the shape 1 block below, this time adding an extra block to the corners. I then kept adding layers for another 4 layers, with the second and third ones having the extra corner blocks. Hopefully you can see what I mean in the video. On the 4th layer, I extended the 8 middle blocks by 1 on each side. I then kept building another 2 layers below. On the second one, I built another layer directly below it, then extended the corners by a block, but not the edges. I then broke the extra blocks on the inside, but you don't have to do this. The next thing I did was to start to extend the bottom of the mushroom cap so that the edge wasn't even. I built some uneven triangular shapes to do this. You can pause and copy the exact shapes I built if you'd like, or choose your own way of making it a little more organic. I then went back around the mushroom, replacing blocks to create the gradient on the edge. I started this using stripped crimson Hyphae, but you can also use stem, around the bottom edge. For the next layer of the gradient, use warped Hyphae or stem, which I placed on the layer on top and extended a little here and there for a more gradual effect. The next thing that I added was some soul lanterns on chains. Try to vary the length and placement of the chains so that you don't have too many gathered in one place and they're not exactly evenly spaced from each other. I find that it looks nice to have some that are placed next to each other with different lengths, as well as some single lanterns. I ended up using 18 lanterns in total. I then added a little detail to the area surrounding the base. I used warped Nylium around the mushroom so that it looks like the mushroom is rooted or spreading into the ground. This is completely optional and you can always add more, but I feel like it adds a little context to the build and is a nice touch. And that's the finished build. I really hope you found this useful, and as always, feel free to leave any feedback or requests for future builds and tutorials in the comments. Thanks for watching!